Sous vide is typically used for steaks, but today I'm going to show you how to use sous vide to make the best tasting chicken thigh you'll ever have. Let's get started. So I know I said that this is going to be a sous vide chicken thigh recipe, but I want to do something a little different and compare the sous vide version to a traditionally cooked chicken thigh version. So let's get to it. So I have a 8-quart pot here and I have it about a third filled, and I'm going to put my sous vide stick in, and I'm going to go on the app that came with it and set it to 167 degrees Fahrenheit. And just let that preheat while I go and prepare my chicken. So to prepare these chicken thighs, all I'm gonna do is trim off the excess fat and excess skin. There's already a lot of fat in the chicken thigh already to keep it juicy, so I don't need all the excess. Now, all I'm gonna do is take my knife and go along the bone and remove the bone. For more in-depth detail, go look at my chicken saute video, which I will leave in the top right corner. Just click on that and I'll explain how to actually remove the bone out pretty cleanly. Once you have both pieces prepared, go ahead and put some cling wrap on it and get something heavy like a pan, a mallet, rolling pin, wine bottle, anything you have really to pound these chicken thighs out. Now, the purpose of pounding these out is not to get them nice and thin, but rather nice and even. The reason why you want them nice and even is that when I go to sear the chicken thighs, they will cook nice and evenly, but more importantly, the chicken thighs will have an even contact with the pan, giving it a nice sear, which will crisp up the chicken skin. Now that my chicken thighs are all nice and pounded out, I'm gonna go ahead and season with salt and pepper on both sides, and I make sure to season it pretty well so that the salt can penetrate through the chicken so that when I eat it later, it's very flavorful. Because I'm cooking one of these chicken thighs through sous vide, I'm gonna go put it in a Ziploc bag. Get one that's kind of durable. I have a freezer safe bag, so that's perfect for sous vide. Just like this. And for the other chicken thigh, I'm just gonna set it aside. To accompany the chicken thighs, I'm going to be making a pan sauce later after I sear. And so the first ingredient I'm gonna need is an onion. That I have spun, and yes, it's very important that you spin your onion because, well, we all know spinning your onion adds more flavor. Anyways, I'm gonna go ahead and top and tail my onions and slice it in half. And since I'm only gonna be needing a fourth of an onion, I'm just gonna cut my half in half. So I'm going to take one of my quarters and slice it down, not all the way through, but just up to the root. I'm gonna cut it in one direction, flip it over, cut a few more slices, and then I'm gonna go ahead and cut it crosswise, which will give me my onion cubes. Next, I'm gonna go ahead and smash up 2 garlic cloves, and then all I'm gonna do is take that, slice it and dice it, and then get it down to a medium fine mince. Lastly, I'm gonna go ahead and pick the parsley leaves off of the stems, and all I'm gonna do is roll it up in a bundle as tight as I can, and just take my knife and quickly run through it as fine as I can. This is gonna be the final touch of my pan sauce, as well as a garnish on top of the chicken when I'm done. Right by now, my sous vide is up to temperature, and all I'm gonna do is take my Ziploc bag with the chicken in it and stick it in the water, trying to push out all that air, and then zip it up so that the water won't come in. And I'm gonna set it there for 45 minutes, and we'll come back to it when it's done. 45 minutes later, I have a nicely cooked chicken thigh, but it doesn't look that good yet. So we're gonna take it out and we're gonna dump all the juices into a small bowl. And it's important that you save it, and I'll show you why later, but just dump it in the bowl and store that aside. And I'm gonna take out my chicken thigh and put it on a paper towel and dry it really well, because you need it to be super dry to get a nice crispy skin. If you don't do this step, your skin's gonna come out all soggy when you go to sear it. Now that I'm ready to cook my chicken thigh, I have a saute pan heated on medium to medium high heat, and I put in a drizzle of oil and swirl the oil around. And all I'm gonna do is lay in my chicken thigh the sous vide one, and just hold it down so that the skin will have a nice contact with the pan so that the skin can get nice and crispy. If you don't do this, then it'll just curl right up. And right next to it, I'm just gonna put my other chicken thigh in and also let that cook down. And I press it down a little too so it also doesn't curl up. So once the chicken gets nice and crispy like this, I'm gonna go ahead and flip it over and just cook it very briefly on the other side, because since it's already cooked through, I don't want it to cook anymore because it'll get dry. I'll take out the sous vide chicken thigh and then just keep cooking the other chicken until the skin gets nice and crispy, and then I will also flip it over when it's ready. So once I have it nice and brown like this on both sides, I'm gonna go ahead and take it out of the pan and turn down the heat. First thing I'm gonna do is just wipe out excess oil and just leave a little bit like this, and then now I'm gonna dump in my onions. All I'm gonna do is cook the onions down until they're nice and brown. Not too dark because I don't want them burned, but just nice and brown. And once they're browned like this, I'm gonna go ahead and add in just another drizzle of oil, and then also throw in my garlic. And all I'm looking here is for my garlic to be fragrant. I'm not looking for it to brown. And then once I have all that cooked through, I'm gonna dump in about half a cup of white wine, one that you would drink, and I would scrape down as much as I can in the pan, because all that stuff on the bottom is flavor and I don't want any of that to be thrown away. And once it's reduced, I'm gonna go ahead and add that chicken broth that we saved earlier and just dump it right in. And then I'm gonna also add in some mushroom powder for a boost of umami. And once I have it reduced a little bit more, I'm gonna shut off the heat and add in 2 tablespoons of cold butter and just stir it in until it's melted through. And once it's melted through, you'll actually have a very nice consistency. It should be nice and thick and rich. And this is when I add in my parsley, and I'm just gonna give it a quick stir through. I'm also gonna add in a touch of lemon juice just to brighten up the whole sauce. And then again, stir it through. And now I'm gonna add in a touch of salt and pepper. And then again, stir it through. Alright, so here's the chicken thighs. On the right is the sous vide version, and then on the left is the traditional version. So I'm just gonna start out by eating it without the pan sauce. Here, let's try the sous vide version first. Cheers. Alright, before I make any comments, let's try the traditional version. Alright, let's try this with the pan sauce. I'm gonna go in with the traditional piece. That sauce is so good. Alright, my verdict on the two. I think that the sous vide gave a crispier skin because I think it had time to render out some of that fat while doing the sous vide cook. So that by the time it hits the pan, all that's left is just searing up the skin real quick, and so it gets it nice and crispy. With that said, I think the traditional cook is a lot better in terms of texture and juiciness and tenderness too. I don't know how to explain it, but the sous vide version, it kind of gave a fibery texture. Not that it's a bad thing, it's just a little different, but it kind of made it less tender. So in my opinion, I would go with the traditionally cooked method. So these are just a few of my thoughts for these two methods, but let me know in the comments below which method you prefer to cook your chicken thighs with. And if you like this content, hit the like button below. And if you want to see more content like this, hit the subscribe button or this button over here. And to see my previous video, hit this over here. And I'll catch you guys on the next one. Thank you. Bye.